Welcome everyone to another Spotlight Next Gen session. Today we're really excited to welcome Alec Maslov. First of all, Alec, thank you very much for joining us today on Spotlight.
Thank you for the invite. Much appreciated. Looking forward to this convo.
Yeah, very cool, man. Well, we've got some pretty exciting stuff to talk about. But before we get into it, just a quick introduction of Alec. Alec has worked in VC, fintech, edtech, retail marketing, consulting, and media. His TED Talk, Are We Living in a Simulation, has over 300,000 views. And this is the really cool stuff we're going to talk about today. Alec is the founder of Stellar Dream, an innovative NFT project that pushes the boundaries between reality and the metaverse. And Alec, you've got my attention on this topic, but you're also at NFT Week in New York at the moment. So you're going through a lot of exciting things in your mind. So this conversation could take us anywhere into the metaverse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I look forward to that.
Yeah.
So, mate, thank you very much for joining us again. And maybe just give us a bit of an extended conversation of the exciting stuff you're doing when it comes to NFT projects and the metaverse.
Yeah. So right now, what we're trying to do is to change consumer behavior between the relationship of fans and manga or anime projects or cartoons in general. Yeah. Right now, people buy comic books. That's the old way. The new way, people will own characters within a story and be able to influence how those characters appear in the story to make it theirs. And that will be a liquid market. People will trade characters and personalize them and get benefit from engaging in the community. That's what we think is the future. And that's just the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where this takes us in relation to what is reality, right? Because I sort of put a correlation, and I hope I'm not simplifying this to the most, with the kids I have. I've got a son, and he's into this new series, Billy the Kid, right? And Billy the Kid's I think it's 1800, right? 1800s, and I watch him actually play these games he does on the PlayStations, etc. And he's actually got this game that's around the 1800s, and he's a cattleman who's riding into the and he can, when
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, and you watch him, and he's actually that character. He actually goes, "Dad, I wish I was born in the 1800s," but he's actually really living the life of an NBA player or of something, right? So is this what we're talking about? Is this what we mean about how do we bring characters to life, and then we want them?
There's a big trend in the Japanese manga and anime space. It's called isekai. And what that means is it's a fantasy where an everyday person wakes up as a video game character or wakes up as a king. And it taps into the deepest fantasies of mostly men right now, to be honest. And I'm sure there's going to be women-centric content that comes out with this branch. But we imagine ourselves, what would we do if we had all that power? What would we do if we were the king or the overpowered video game character? And the more we associate ourselves with the characters that we play, the more we invest our time and personality into those characters, the more that we want to live that life and become more like them.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about, blurring the lines between reality and metaverse. You can have this meat space character, your human body, and then you can have this digital world character, which is like an alter ego of everything that you want to express in your personality. Yeah. And that's what I think is what's really interesting in the metaverse. So through NFTs, we can have digital ownership. We can own a trackable item, a digital item, and change it, adapt it to how we want it to look.
Yeah.
And then tie ourselves and our own identity to it.
Yeah, yeah. And so in relation to NFTs, and let's explain this to really bring it down to layman's terms. NFTs live inside the metaverse, right? Can you maybe take us through just the basic logic of NFT, and then we talk about the metaverse, And is there one metaverse? Is there multiple metaverses? Where do I live when I've got this skin? Where do I actually create this character and actually live a life, so to speak?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack. One of the biggest questions that some of our partners are asking, and we're talking like large IP holders in Japan, what do they actually own when they own an NFT? You know, oftentimes people think of NFTs as images, and actually that's not the case. The owner of the NFT has a private key on their wallet, and that private key is proof of ownership of something. So one of the biggest trends in the Web3 world right now is actually not going fully decentralized, but something that we like to call Web 2.5, right, which is kind of like a mix of decentralized technologies and traditional world contracts and different structures, legal entities for kind of managing decentralized ownership, which is really interesting. And so when we talk about ownership, it's more like your wallet, it holds all of the things that are on the decentralized internet, and your private keys will point to these different assets and show that you have ownership of it. So is there one metaverse? Is there multiple metaverses? What does metaverse even mean, right? This is a huge moving target. This is something that most people will think about in slightly different ways, and some people will think about in dramatically different ways. We have this kind of concept that our mobile phones are an extension of our body. It's almost like an extra lump of brain cells that we're holding. Like imagine telling somebody 100 years ago, we can look up any piece of knowledge and verify it instantly with different sources, find the weather or maps. And now we're kind of like mixing this digital space with what we call physical reality. And all of that is, in a sense, the metaverse. And the different packages, the different experiences in the metaverse are essentially all going to be accessed through the same kind of internet technology that Web 2 was built on.
This is incredibly exciting because it's so new for the majority, right? We hear these words and letters, and we hear the metaverse. What does it mean? Now let's try and put this in a practical sense, because I'm really excited by it. Because as you talk, my brain just goes into overdrive of what it could do and how because you've got a reality and you've got a reality, right? And they're two different realities. And as you were saying, one would be hyped up based on what you would want to see, and then one is actually what you're living physically and feeling it emotionally. But you're going to be able to feel both emotionally on the journey. So work with me as an individual for a second. What are people typically looking to gain out of a NFT, and what are they looking to gain out of creating this virtual reality life or experience?
So I have some bad news or good news, depending on how you stand on it. But the metaverse is not black and white. It's not like you flip a switch and suddenly you're there. Newsflash, we've been partially in the metaverse since the 1990s. And the metaverse is encroaching more and more on physical reality. So what's the beautiful thing about what the metaverse is building? In physical reality, we have tickets for events that we go to. We have photos that we capture of memories that we make. We have social networks that kind of track our friendships and relationships. Now, imagine a world where those things are on chain, right? So in the Web3 space, there's this trend called POAP, or proof of attendance protocol. So you attend a party, you attend an event, and you scan a QR code, or you use NFC technology, and you get an NFT for that event or concert or comedy show, right? And all of the things that you've ever done in your life are going to be recorded on an immutable blockchain, right? And then there's technology that you can tie memories, you can link memories like photos, videos, conversations to specific events that you're attending.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this encroachment of the digital space where you can look back, your memories are digitized.
Yeah.
Think about that what you will. Maybe this is just the beginning.
Yes.
But your memories, your events, your actual interactions are recorded on the chain, and we can think of a world where we can also record our interests and our passions on the chain, right? So the NFTs that people buy, the projects that people participate shows what they really care about. And so you build this persona of your artwork that you like, the events that you attend, the people that you talk to, and suddenly you have this base for a digital identity that's wallet based, that's blockchain wallet based, right? So I'll take a little bit of a divergence real quick. It's really interesting because in the Web3 space, one of the biggest problems is onboarding.
Mm-hmm.
People who do not have a wallet are very, very loath at this point to try to find out how to do it. The penetration of Web3 has kind of reached a bit of a plateau. And in a bear market, you're going to see less interest from the common masses to try to onboard themselves into Web3, to download a wallet, to whatever, right? And so when we're trying to think of projects that will help spread the word about Web3 and onboard people, we need to make it as easy as possible for people to get a wallet, for people to be motivated to participate in the space.
To really connect with their why they would want a wallet, right?
Exactly.
Does this add value, or does this lead me towards the path, or does it give me a different perspective on what my path potentially is?
Right.
Because it's not always, I haven't always found my path, right? Yeah, I'll always evolve that learning and that understanding. It's really, thank you very much, firstly, because you put it into perspective around, it's actually partially been in place since the 1990s, because that makes a lot of sense what you just said. And now we're elevating it to a different level, right? Think about companies for a second, right? Because I see a reality. If you had the ability to play a forward reality and play out scenarios and to play out, hey, what if we wanted that? Imagine if, what would we have to do? And if you could play that out into a metaverse scenario where I could actually, create something that actually looks like the path up. Is this also possible? What would it mean for small businesses, for example, or companies and corporations? Is there a place here for these organizations?
Not only is there a place, the organizations are already very, very heavily involved. You're seeing luxury brands offering metaverse goods to deck out their avatars in luxury 3D items. I think what's really interesting, if we take a small step back to the philosophical aspect of this, there's some important things about what drives human behavior, what drives our own relationship with other people. First of all, there's how we want to be seen by others. Second of all, there's how others perceive us, and there's how we perceive ourselves, right? So there are different layers of how we want others to communicate with us and the reputation that we want to have in the market. And the digital world offers, like, I hate to say it, but it's often an easier way to transform yourself into something something closer to what you actually want to appear as, right? So in the meat space world, you have to lift a lot of weights to get a lot of muscles. In the digital world, you mine some cryptocurrency or you make some trades and then you buy a different armor upgrade, right? So even though it still might be difficult for other people, it's easier for a certain group of people to create a digital identity that more matches what's going on internally. And when we talk about self-perception, you have to go into the idea of cognitive dissonance, right? A lot of people are starting to experience different types of anxiety from social media. You have these influencers who are posting unrealistic expectations. Not that I have anything against it, but plastic surgery makes people look amazing. The quality of the surgeon, it depends on the end result. But then you have teenagers and children and influenceable people who are looking at these posts and saying, I want to be like that, and looking in the mirror and saying, there's this difference, and that causes some anxiety. It's cognitive dissonance. So Web3 also, and this idea of avatars and digital identity helps to alleviate some of the anxiety from physical world pressures by creating a cool digital identity. And there's different trends at play there.
Because I create a virtual world of my company, and then with all of the characters, and I could create 100 characters, 200 characters, right? And play out a scenario with multiple people, and then say, okay, great. Well, what do we want to do? What do we want to look like? What do we want to virtually? And then we actually effectively role play it out, right? Create that. You said the word fantasy earlier, which I like, because you're basically saying, I want something that's not there yet.
Yes,
and then can I play it out with multiple stakeholders to see what it would look like? Is that even possible?
Yes, there's a lot to unpack there in what you're saying. The first thing that I want to touch on is imitating the physical world in virtual reality. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is that this is not going to be very successful. Why would we create a digital copy of something that we can experience in the physical world if we have the ability to create something supernatural and something that really brings us to a different place, right? Yeah. If we look at the science of being by the ocean, for example, mm-hmm. right? You have more oxygen flow, you have the noise of the ocean, and there's scientific therapeutic effects that go into this. Yeah. So if we try to imitate that in the digital world, for people who are, in the middle of nowhere with no ocean in sight, we can, with the purpose of trying to give those same therapeutic benefits. That's kind of like the first phase. But the question is, why would you stop there? Right? So if you can use science to create therapeutic effects in virtual worlds, why would you stop at imitating reality and not go a step further and add another planet in the sky, or do some A/B testing on what makes people feel more comfortable, what makes the environment better. And you're talking about digital workspaces. We're in this remote hybrid kind of work environment. Yes. And a lot of people are trying out VR spaces for workspaces. And so far it's been kind of challenging and difficult to adopt it. I think the future of that is leveraging science to create therapeutic and kind of like mental effects that enhance performance, that enhance communication and collaboration, because we don't need to stop at reality. We don't need to put artificial limits on ourselves. And the digital world is for experimentation. It's for creating a space where we can try different things and see our own reaction to it. And if the reaction is positive, the money will flow there. The people will flow there. And we will see the benefits of it. And if the reaction is, nah, I prefer Zoom over this VR office, people are going to keep doing Zoom. Yes, for the time being.
Because you and I could talk about this for a long, because I'm curious, my mind is boggling what we're talking about. Because I think a lot of people just see, celebrities and profiles talk about NFTs and what they do, and then someone makes money, and everyone's going, oh, I dare I say it's a bit like Bitcoin in a way. Everyone hears a story, oh, that worked well, that didn't, this is working, but the majority of us really don't fully grasp what it actually means to us yet. But as you said, this is moving, right? This is going to continue to evolve. And definitely, as I see the younger generation they're already living it, right? And a lot of people, my generation, are still trying to understand it, right? And saying, well, why are you so into that? But it's giving them a completely different perception of themselves. And even the fact that my son can put his name on the back of a jersey and play next to LeBron James, right? That he's living a different life. He's exiting that chair in that room going, that was unbelievable. Yeah. Right? I'm never going to be a professional NBA player, but that was a good feeling. Right. Yeah. And I can imagine, this is also going to play rolls in, I think we tend to always go to the negative a little bit. And we talked about the psychology and the feeling, but it can also play a positive for a lot of people in their own self-esteem and how they actually feel. So what's your advice? What's your advice to us around how should we get involved? What should we be looking for? And really, what's our starting point for the journey to really, truly understand this?
You know, what really resonates with me right now is that the metaverse is really for digital natives, children born with a smartphone in their hand. And you have to look at how children create bonding experiences with their peers. A lot of that is happening through Fortnite or Apex Legends, right? And there's still some meat space stuff that's going on. But I think, unfortunately, a lot of us are going to have to live through the fantastic growth of the metaverse through the eyes of our children and younger people in our immediate circle. How do we get involved? What do we do? So the Web3 space, if we believe that human beings will own digital goods, that will be done on the blockchain. So if you want to know how that's going to happen, you need to download a wallet. You need to at least experiment with some cryptocurrency and understand the concepts of digital ownership, like how it's executed, what it entails. But there are some really, really radical shifts that are going to happen as far as perception of ownership, perception of how people will relate to brands. And I mean, I'm hoping Stellar Dream is going to be at the forefront of that. So like I said, our vision is for fans to be able to own and trade characters within a story. So right now, people are buying comic books. We want the content to be for free. We want to give a story to the world, get mass appeal, get lots of people interested. And for the true fans who want to engage with the story, they'll have to onboard. They'll have to get a wallet. Then they can get a character. But then what happens then is what's really interesting. So imagine you have a character that you can click on in a comic book, and it'll link to a marketplace like OpenSea where you can see all the transactions. But then you can change this character, you can add armor, you can change the face, and that change will be reflected in the story itself, right? So you have this evolving story that's way more community driven in the past. And where you have this line between this is a story and this is reality, it starts to blur. I'm just imagining, like a cybernetic world where you can make changes to your own body that then reflect in a story, right? So you become a character in real life, and it's like a totally seamless, immersive experience.
This is amazing. I love your passion. I love your passion for it, man. This is very, very cool. Well, Alec, we could keep on talking about this until we actually extend into the metaverse. Yeah, exactly.
Till the cows come home.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning of this story as well. So, I mean, the work you're doing at Stellar Dream. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
I wanted to make a quick point, right? So currently crypto's in a bear market. Currently, the global financial situation is looking really strange. You have a rearrangement of global trade flows and commodities, and it's a strange time, right? But we have to think about the future. We have to think about what the future of crypto is. Is crypto here to stay? If you say yes, the bear market is the perfect time to buy. It's the perfect time to build. It's the perfect time to really get in touch with the market on the cheap. So that's something I guess I think your viewers should know.
Alec, how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out and connect?
For anyone who's really interested in participating in my project, I'll share my email with your viewers. It's Alec, ALEC, at Thig, THIG.io. Follow our project on Twitter at Stellar Dream NFT. Follow us on Instagram, also at Stellar Dream NFT. We've got some big announcements coming in the next few weeks, and really excited to share with people more about what we're doing.
Very cool, man. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, mate. You are leading an incredible space. You're an incredible young man. So congratulations on all the things you've done and all the things you're going to be doing into the future. So thank you very much for joining us today, Alec.
Had such a pleasure with you. Had such a pleasure with you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep smiling. I love it. Can't wait to see more.
You're a good man. Thank you very much, bud.